Hello students, today we'll do a subject-verb agreement drill. This would work both for the SAT writing and the ACT English sections. So let's begin. The challenge in subject-verb agreement questions is to determine the right subject and verb pair and then to figure out whether the subject is singular or whether it is plural and then choose the correct verb for it. So I have some questions here where we have options for the verb and we have to choose the right answer. Pause the video at this stage and try attempting these questions on your own. Once you have an answer, unpause the video and come back and check if you got it right. Question 1. The discovery of new medicines was or were vital to the company's growth. In this kind of questions, you must always ask what the subject is. What is vital to the company's growth? It's the discovery of new medicines. Not medicines themselves, but the discovery is vital to the company's growth. Since discovery is singular, my verb will also be singular, was. In general, if I have X of Y, the discovery of new medicines, then my subject will be X, the discovery, right? This is something to remember. Number 2, the list of items include 3 notebooks and an eraser. Again, the subject here is list. It's the list that includes 3 notebooks and an eraser. And since the list is singular, my answer will be includes, right? The list of items, the subject is list. Being singular, you'll choose includes. The houses on the road to Mysore, just off the highway, is or are gorgeous. What is being described as gorgeous? The houses. The houses on the road to Mysore, just off the highway. And since houses is plural, I would choose are. The houses are gorgeous. When the auditors left, the executive who had been interviewed was or were glad. Which person or which persons are being described as glad? The executive. He was glad when the auditors left. And since the executive is singular, my answer would be was glad. Limping, the horse once considered one of the favorites, was or were taken away. Who or what was taken away? The horse. He was one of the favorites, but it was the horse that was taken away. And since the horse is singular, my verb would be was. Okay, let's try some more. Question 6. In the waning days of the emperor's life, the conquest of new lands on the borders of the empire was or were considered vital. So again, I have a lot of words in this sentence, and I have to kind of pin down what was considered vital. What was it that was considered vital? And the one word that was considered vital is the conquest. Right? The conquest was considered vital. There is new lands in the sentence. There is borders of the empire in the sentence. We are also talking about the last few days of the emperor's life. But ultimately, my verb will go with the noun that it is meant to represent. What it was that was considered vital, the conquest. And since this is singular, my answer would be was. A coalition of smaller nations led by Singapore and New Zealand is or are promoting a tariff-cutting pact to expand trade in medical products. Now, I know that there is a tariff-cutting pact that's being discussed to expand trade in medical products. Who is promoting this pact? It's a coalition of nations, a coalition. This collective now, a coalition of smaller nations. And collective nouns would take the singular verb. Since coalition is a singular collective noun, it would take the singular verb. And so the right answer is. Okay. Number 8. Opponents of social distancing rules are using Facebook to organize protests at the homes of health officials in campaigns that health authorities say amount or amounts to harassment. This is an interesting question because there is a lot that is happening in the sentence. So we need to kind of figure out how to choose the correct verb. So let's try and make some verb combinations with nouns. Opponents of social distancing rules are using Facebook, right? So I already know that opponents is going with are using Facebook to organize protests at the homes of health officials in campaigns that health authorities say amount or amounts to harassment. What is it that amounts to harassment? When health authorities, okay, another thing, I should make sure that I connect this say is the subject, is the verb for health officials. Health officials are saying, so health officials say. Now, in campaigns that health authorities say, oh, sorry, I made a mistake here. Let me correct that. Yeah, the say is the verb for health authorities. Right. Okay, so I have found another correct subject verb pair. Health authorities say that these campaigns amount to harassment. It is the campaigns that amount to harassment. This is the correct, well, let me choose another color. This is the correct noun for the verb. And since campaigns is plural, my right answer will be amount. So if we break it down again, it says opponents of social distancing rules are using Facebook to organize protests at the homes of health officials, right? In campaigns, so these protests are campaigns that health authorities say amount to harassment. The campaigns amount to harassment. So if you can break down the sentence and find the correct noun for the verb, what amounts to harassment? The campaigns. Then you can select the correct verb. Okay, let's do the last one. Last one seems to have two mistakes or two options that we need to correct. The tidal forces to which an object falling into a black hole is or are subjected is or are sufficient to tear the object apart. So first of all, what is sufficient to tear the object apart? The tidal forces. The tidal forces, which is plural, are sufficient to tear the object apart. So I already know that this one between is and are is going to be are. The tidal forces are sufficient to tear the object apart. Okay, the tidal forces to which an object falling into a black hole is or are subjected. Which object is subjected to the tidal forces? The object falling into the black hole. So if I change my color, the object falling into the black hole is subjected to the tidal forces. So for this verb, this one or this one, the correct noun is object, which is singular. And so this answer would be is, right? So you see here that for tidal forces was the noun for the verb are sufficient. And so we said are. And object falling into the black hole. Object is the noun for the verb is subjected. So we chose is. So if you are careful of finding the correct noun for a verb in a sentence, And normally these questions will have longish sentences to kind of make you work in selecting the correct noun for a verb. Then you can answer these questions with high accuracy each time. Was this subject verb agreement drill useful? If yes, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments section what other drills in reading, writing, or math you'd like me to upload. I'll see you guys in the next video soon. Take care. Bye bye.